Good afternoon. Mike. Good afternoon. Good afternoon, brothers and sisters. I'd like to call the meeting to order. It's great to see everybody, and it's great to see the energy already in the room, so welcome. Brothers and sisters, special guests, owners, contractors, ladies and gentlemen, mesdames et messieurs, welcome. Bienvenue to the 2026 CBTU Conference. To celebrate and recognize the inflection point we're at as a nation, our theme for this year's conference is Canada's Future is Union-Made. This year's theme is an appreciation of the impact that Canada's Building Trades Union, each affiliate, each provincial council, and each local has achieved, and the milestone recognition that unionized construction has received this year. My name is Sean Strickland. I'm the Executive Director of Canada's Building Trades Unions. And on behalf of the Canadian Executive Board, I'd like to extend a warm welcome to each and every one of you, and thank you for joining us here in Gatineau, just across the river from our nation's capital in Ottawa. It was great to see a lot of familiar faces here today, so welcome back. It's also great to see a lot of new faces, so a special welcome to our new participants at our CBTU conference. To start the proceedings, please join me in welcoming our Canadian Executive Board to the stage with the marching of the Color Guard, carried by smart apprentices Cameron Tangay from Local 47 and Tasia Payne from Local 285. March on the colors. Yeah, clap if you want, go for it. Okay, as I call your name, please take a step forward. You can be seated, thank you. As I call your name, please take a step forward and just give us a wave. It's my pleasure to introduce the Canadian Executive Board, our chairman from IUPAT, Robert Kucherin. From IBW, Russ Shuchuk. Ironworkers, Colin Daniels. Jack Wall from SMART. Paul Faulkner from the Insulators. Joe Mancinelli couldn't be here from LiUNA. Patrick Campbell from the Operators. Craig Strudwick from the Bricklayers. Newest member of the Canadian Executive Board who couldn't join us, Brad Brave from the Elevators. Chris Feller from the Cement Masons. Gary Kitchen, who's recovering from an accident, from the Teamsters. He's okay, by the way. Terry Snooks from the UA. I'd like to call on our chairman to officially open the conference.
Good afternoon, brothers and sisters, and thank you, Sean, for that introduction. Please join me in thanking Sean and the entire CBTU team this year for their efforts in putting this conference on. Thank you. Now it is my distinct pleasure to officially open the 2026 CBTU Conference.
So now we're going to start with a territorial land acknowledgement and invite Brother Albert Dumont to join the stage. Albert is a poet, storyteller, speaker, and an Algonquin traditional teacher. He was born in traditional Algonquin. He is a published author and was named City of Ottawa's Poet Laureate in 2022. He's held numerous leadership positions and has dedicated his life to promoting Indigenous spirituality and healing and protecting the rights of Indigenous peoples, particularly youth. Albert is also a proud, retired bricklayer. Please join me in welcoming Albert.
It's good to be back. I think I want to say this about land acknowledgement. I was at a high school a couple of years ago, and I did a presentation about an hour long. At the end of it, I was leaving the gymnasium where the students were, and there was a man along the wall. I think he might have been the vice principal. Anyway, he came up to me and he said, "At this school, we say the land acknowledgement every day. And to me, it's like a slap across my face." And then he took a step forward, and his face was about this far from my face at that time. And he said, "Do you like slapping my face like that?" I wasn't expecting nobody to make any comments like that, but right away I said to him, I said, "Tell me something, are you a homeowner?" And he said, "Yes." I said, "Well, how would you like it if you were in your home someday and all of a sudden a stranger walked into your house, didn't knock, didn't ring the doorbell or anything, walked into your home, walked right by you, didn't say a word to you, went into your kitchen, got some food and some beverages, walked right by you again, didn't say a word to you, and went and sat in your living room, and he's sitting there eating your food and drinking your beverages." I said, "You wouldn't like that, would you?" And he said, "No, I wouldn't." I said, "Well, the Algonquins, we see our territory as our house, a house that we never gave away to anybody. We never sold it to anyone. We never rented it out. We know we're not going to get our house back, but we do expect you to say that it's still our house." And I said, "Mister, if that makes you feel like your face is being slapped, then you got a problem that you need to fix within yourself." And he stood there for maybe, 20 or 30 seconds, and then we shook hands, and that was the end of that. So the land acknowledgement is important. You know, the fact is we never sold our land to anybody. There's never been no treaty about it. And it's true that I was a bricklayer for almost 40 years. In the spring of 1990, I was repairing a chimney on a gristmill roof, and the tower section of scaffolding I was on collapsed, and I was right up the top. I was 43 feet off the ground, so I did a lot of damage to my body. But I did go back to the trade, and I specialized in restoration work after about 5 years. So I know a lot about mortar. I know you mix mortar a certain way, a certain texture for bricks. I know you mix mortar a certain way with a different texture for cement blocks. And I know you mix mortar with a certain texture to lay stone with. And it makes me think about the union, because the union is like mortar. It supports, it bonds, it unites. And whenever people go above and beyond what's expected of them to make that mortar strong, they get recognized. And I believe some people are going to receive awards here later on and that's good. And before I finish, I just want to say this, that for 3 years, starting in 2010, for 3 full years, I worked at a maximum security prison. It was called J Unit at Millhaven. It was said to be the most violent prison in Canada at the time. And I worked there as a spiritual advisor. And I told those men that I was also a human rights activist and that I wasn't going to allow any human rights violations occur, that I wouldn't do something about it. Millhaven only had a population of 130 men. 30 of those men were Indigenous, and that's who I worked with. But whenever I started working there, I saw that what they called themselves the Indian Brotherhood. And I noticed that they were at odds, that they were divided into 2 camps. And I didn't know what I was going to do about that. But it became my habit. I started working there in October, and in early November, by that time, I would build a fire for the men to stand around on the native grounds. They'd come out of the prison and they'd go into a fenced-in area with razor wire at the top. And I'd put coffee on, and then we'd talk. So one day we're standing around that fire, and one of the men said, "Hey, Albert, you sure made a nice fire today." And another guy says, "Yeah, Albert, it's an awesome fire. It's just perfect." And I said, "That's right, boys. The fire is doing what we want it to do, what we expect it to do. It's making us feel security. It's comforting to be around it, and we're at peace around it." And then I pointed to the prison and I said, "You know what? If you're not a fire, somebody's going to hurt you." And I pointed to the fire and I said, "If you take this log and you push it away, you take that log and you push it away, and you divide all the logs, you don't have a fire anymore. All you've got is a bunch of smoldering logs. If you want to be a force that's reckoned with, you've got to be a fire." I think the union understands that. The union members, whoever they are, whatever job sites they're on, they need to be a fire. So, miigwech.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Albert. We all recognize the work that needs to be done on Indigenous reconciliation, and we always thank you for your words of wisdom and a reminder of what has happened before and how we must double down on improving that and embark on a true path of reconciliation. So thank you very much, Albert. I'd like to now invite our national anthem singer, Dr. Leanne Vida, to the stage for the singing of the U.S. and Canadian national anthems. Leanne is a singer and adjunct professor of voice at both Brock and Niagara University. Please welcome Leanne.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous flight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets' red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was to keep our land glorious and free. Oh, Canada, we stand on guard for thee. Oh, Canada, we stand on guard for thee.
Thank you very much, Leanne, for, as usual, those beautiful renditions of our national anthems. Brothers and sisters, can I ask you to please stay standing? If you can please stand for a moment of silence to honor the memory of our brothers and sisters and all of those who have died in workplace accidents or from the ravages of occupational disease. A moment of silence. Thank you. Okay, Piper, Mary, please march out the color party. And apprentices. Thank you. Thank you. That's always a nice way to start our conference. I'd like to take a brief moment to acknowledge our opening ceremony sponsor, the Provincial Building and Construction Trades Council of Ontario, and to thank this year's gold sponsors, the UA and the Ironworkers, for their support this year in making our event possible. Please join me in giving a round of applause for our gold sponsors. A big thank you to today's lunch sponsor, Orbit Insurance. They also have a booth out back, and OPCMIA for sponsoring today's dessert. Please, a round of applause for our sponsors. We are kicking off 3 days of action-packed plenary with a clear purpose. Canada's future is union-made. Our hands, our skills are building our country's energy infrastructure, roads, hospitals, transit systems, housing, and schools. But we are doing so much more than that. We are building a Canada of tomorrow that we can be proud to pass on to our children. A Canada that is strong, independent, and connected. Over the next 3 days, we will hear from politicians, building trades leaders, project owners, business leaders across the full breadth of the energy sector, and political commentators who have expert insight to highlight the opportunities ahead and share perspectives on how we can continue meeting this historic moment. I'd also like to take a second to recognize a special guest we have here today, the General President of OPCMIA, Kevin Sexton. We also have a few esteemed alumni here with us today. John Telford, former Canadian Director of the UA. Mitch Grenier, former Canadian Director of the UA. And Tom McGreevy, former international rep for the IBW. For those of you who have been here before, you know that Mitch and Tom will be, strong-arming you, I guess, out in the halls for a 50-50 draw again this year to help raise funds for our Day of Mourning monument, which we have used to help maintain the monument. And when you go to the ceremony tomorrow, you will notice how it has been improved. So please contribute to the 50-50 draw. The draw will be held tomorrow and another draw will be held on Wednesday before lunch. So be sure to buy your tickets, and remember how these things go in the building trades family. You got to be in the room to win. So go and see Tom and Mitch in the hallway to get your tickets. Before we invite our guests to the stage, out of respect for their time, I'd like to ask everyone to please put your phones on silent. And also, please remember to leave the translation devices. There is simultaneous translation available, sponsored by the insulators on the tables before you leave. Washrooms are located outside the doors. For safety, emergency exits are marked. Follow the signs to the muster point located through the patio doors at the back of the building and to the left towards the parking lot. The muster point will be the parking lot. For all of your gifts and swag items that you picked up from the exhibitor hall, Oil Sands Alliance has generally provided tote bags. Wi-Fi, sponsored by Smart, is available for you throughout the conference, and our entire agenda is also available on the app. And if you're running low on power for your devices, Milwaukee Tools has sponsored a charging station so you can power up. Registration is sponsored by the Bricklayers. IUPAT has graciously sponsored our hotel keys. Building Trades of Alberta have provided the lanyards, and Bruce Power the badges. Please, a round of applause for all of our sponsors. And I also mentioned the app, which is sponsored by the IBW. It has the full plenary schedule, but you'll be able to submit questions on that app for some of our panelists as well. So I'd encourage you to download that app and scan the QR code, or head to your app store to download FeedLoop. FeedLoop is the app. As we do every year, we have a photographer on site with us capturing moments from this year's conference. We will make the photos available for everyone to download after we wrap. And I recognize how popular those photos are, so I will advise you that we will get those photos up as quickly as possible after the conference. If you'd like to get photos or group shots, please let Sean, our photographer, know following today's plenary sessions. Now, where is Sean? All right, can you stand up? All right, there's Sean. There you go. Oh, yeah, give him a round of applause. He does pretty good work, so I guess a round of applause is in order. Now I'd like to call up our chairman to introduce this year's Master of Ceremonies.